Well, good evening. Well, good evening, boys and girls. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Flipping Tables for Christ. You might be telling yourself, I think I've seen this guy before. And maybe you have. But, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Flipping Tables for Christ. A little bit about myself. Well, I'm a husband of an amazing wife who some people say luck, but I'll be honest, it would take a lot more than just luck to end up with the wife that I have. You would have to be blessed by the Father himself to end up with the wife that I have. I also have two amazing daughters who have taught me things that you just can't learn any other way than raising two daughters from the time that they're sitting in your arms to going to kindergarten to graduating from high school to getting their first job to driving and all that good stuff. I'm also a son to an amazing mother, a brother, a friend, and a stranger. Now, why did I start flipping tables for Christ? I started flipping tables for Christ all those years ago, hoping to open up eyes and ears and change hearts and minds through discussion that some may call debate, but discussing topics that most avoided because of their feelings. I think far too often we avoid these topics because it makes us feel bad. It makes us feel things that we don't necessarily like to feel. But avoiding those questions, avoiding those topics doesn't make those feelings or questions or topics go away. In fact, it oftentimes prolonging an issue makes things worse, and we acknowledge that principle in many facets of our life until we hit certain topics in our own lives, and each of us is different, where it's like, I don't want to acknowledge that reality, and I think it's important that we always address that reality. So why did I start the channel? To open up discussions on those topics that some find and seem to try to avoid. What's the goal? What are some of the goals of the channel? Number one, honestly, to make disciples of men. My goal is to introduce interested people into interesting topics, and through introducing these interested people into interesting topics, their genuine curiosity and their human agency leading them to choosing via their human agency to trust and believe in the Father above. That's the overall goal. Goals short term, make content on a far more regular basis, and not just a regular basis, but a set time. To have a set time, a set date where I will publish material and people can on a regular basis rely on content at a specific time and a specific date. Just being more punctual and accountable, I guess. Um, Middle term, to grow the channel, to make some phone calls with some other podcasters, to better understand the editing and creating content aspect of podcasting, of through that reaching out, starting to create a network of podcasts, of others who are doing podcasting who I could benefit from, via their own subscribers subscribing to my channel. Even if it's because of common interest, finding common audiences, finding other curious people who might be interested in these interesting topics, to hopefully open up eyes and ears and change hearts and minds, to make disciples of men. What's the overall theme of the channel? What did I write down? To find the through lines that bridge us all together, ignoring the labels, titles, and boxes, instead discussing in good faith topics that often are avoided due to people's feelings. Sounds about right. The goal, or what's the overall theme? I think the overall theme is, if we were to summarize it very concisely, is the 30,000 foot view. Looking at it from above and seeing the bridges and the connections, the through lines that through our history, through religion, through our politics, through our societies, through our cultures, through the rises and the falls, what were the through lines that led to the rise, and what were the through lines that led to the falls? Because I think, no, I take that back. I know that if we as a people, and by people I mean humankind, decided to ignore the labels, the titles, and the boxes that we've been predestined to stay in or wear, instead just discussed these touchy topics, but did it in good faith. What does good faith means? What does good faith mean? It means arguing for what you actually believe. Arguing for if there was a gun to your head and a true lie detector test that could tell exactly what you were thinking, if you were being genuine and authentic in what you really felt, if you were arguing for that, then you're arguing in good faith. You can be wrong and be in good faith. I've argued in good faith and been wrong. Well, I was wrong about nearly absolutely everything for 30 years, the first 30 years of my life. Not the first 30, right? I mean, but when you start thinking about things and you start coming up with your own conclusions, which again is BS in itself, because none of us come up with our own conclusions. They're all influenced by everything that we've been influenced by, which at this point, if you're more than 10 years old, it's millions of things. Your friends, your parents, your other relatives, the stranger on the street, the movies that you watch, the books that you've read, the music that you listen to. All of these things influence us, whether we admit it or not. When we're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, I'm sure there's somebody who's 100 years old right now who's claiming, you know what, I came up with this worldview all on my own. And the hubris and the audacity of that statement is just, it's befuddling to anybody with an IQ over 100. the lack of being able to bridge all of those things that have impacted and influenced your life, and then to just shoo those away as if they didn't have an impact on your mind, on your thoughts, on your ideas, on your axioms, on your objective truths, on the things that you think and you believe and you act on an everyday basis. They didn't impact you at all. Nope, all you. That, I won't call you a fool, but that is foolish thinking and foolish behavior, which is acceptable if you're a child. But I see these words, these thoughts and ideas being perpetrated by individuals who claim, and by today's society standard, are adults. So I did what I typically do. I went on a rant there towards the end. But yeah, the overall theme is the 30,000 foot view of everything. Of whatever domain. Whether it be our history, whether it be religion, whether it be politics, whether it be society and culture. The 30,000 foot view of those domains, the through lines that bridge us all together, that we, individuals, let labels, titles, and boxes divide us, ignoring the through lines. Because to acknowledge those through lines sometimes means acknowledging that some of those titles and those labels and those boxes that we've been a part of are wrong. But here's the thing. Every title, every label, and every box is wrong. To what degree? Well, that varies. But none of the titles, labels, or boxes are perfect. And to pretend like they are is foolish. So what I try to do is find the best of the labels, the best of the titles, and the best of each box. Gather them together and discuss in good faith topics that people too often avoid because of their feelings. My name is Dylan Thomas Tedder, and welcome to Flipping Tables for Christ.